Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. We have another in our series of interviews that we do with management of junior mining companies. And today we have a sponsor in Puma Exploration. Marcel Robillard is the CEO of the company. And today we're going to talk about the recent news. Marcel, thank you very much for joining us today.
Oh, I'm really, really happy, Alan. Can I call you Alan? Don't you mind?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry because we have, we talk about the news out since May 25th. We've been trying to connect together. So thank you. Now it's happening. So
Well, you're a busy guy, Marcel.
I'm traveling and yes, busy, and then sometimes get like filled without other stuff. So I'm really sorry, but I'm here full day with you.
I know from experience that you're very concerned about keeping in touch with your shareholders and potential shareholders, and that takes up a lot of time. And so I'm glad you can join us today.
I'm really happy. And just by the way, just as an insight, I mean, I'm totally honest and I know myself. So if anybody wants to get more update about Puma, better to call Mia Boaridzi. She's our IR corporate development. She's always answering the phone. So it's your best bet, call her, and she's going to be able to get in touch with me if you cannot. So that's a message to all our shareholders. She knows almost all the time where I am. For sure, not during the weekend or at night, but during the day, she knows how to find me.
And they can find that on your website at pumaexploration.com, correct?
Exactly. Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, the reason I wanted to get you on, Marcel, is you had a couple of important news releases out. On May the 25th, you guys announced that Puma Exploration is focused on building a gold camp at Williamsbrook Gold Project.
Yes.
This is in the western part of the Bathurst mining camp, which is a very historically important mining camp. It's the third most impressive VMS mining camp in the world. Yeah. And yet you guys are finding high-grade gold on your project.
Yes, you're totally right. We've been working in Bathurst area for the last 20 years. So we've been looking and searching for VMS at the time. We've been looking for copper project that we have spin off to a new company, Canadian Copper. So we still have a leverage and exposure on copper and green metals. But since 2019, following the claim rush happened in Newfoundland with the discovery from Newfound Gold, Labrador Gold, Marathon, all those companies with multi-million ounces deposit. So we said, this is the same rock, same age, it's our backyard, so we should look at a bit more in details, the potential of finding gold. And it happened almost the same time. Then a prospector called us, said, hey, we have a grab sample grading 50 grams gold. So do you want to see the project? So I said, yes. And then it started. We went there, was one grab sample in a cliff. We were not sure at the time if we would take it or not. We were asking, there's any way to do exploration on it? It's a bit, on the cliff, there's not so much exposure. And then we start working our low cost exploration, and we've been building a big, great play in the area. So the news itself, when we're mentioning we want to build a gold camp, is because all the discovery and the findings since about 3 years show there's gold everywhere. So we really believe in Puma that there's more than one gold deposit, and we can get multiple gold deposit within it, because that's a huge orogenic system as the Appalachian rock, similar up to Ireland and also South Carolina. So we want to do that this summer, because in the past, back in 2022, last year, we did systematic drilling on one of the zones, the Lynx, and then we discovered some other stuff. So now we want to put all the pieces together, continue exploring, defining, and characterizing the Lynx gold zone on an economic point of view. But at the same time, we want to be looking and searching for more deposit, because you know what, Alan? Maybe Lynx is not the best zone in the area. because we have been concentrate about 95% of the work there. And as you said earlier, yes, Bathurst Camp was renewed for the last 100 years for base metal, but really nobody looked for gold. And where we are is just at the boundary of what they call the Bathurst Camp. So we are in younger rock. So it's not really the Bathurst Camp. We're just outside the Bathurst Camp where nobody did any exploration. Figure out biggest underground zinc mine in the world for 50 years, and the only work done was in 2008. Nothing else. So no geophysical survey, no real big drilling program, no nothing. So Puma, that's what we said. We're building a gold camp in that area.
You know, I've had a chance to talk to some geologists that have had a lot of experience in New Brunswick, and that's something that they've really highlighted to me, that this isn't just a VMS camp. It's also wide open for precious metals, gold exploration, and they're very proud of that, and they must be happy with you making it a focus for gold.
No, I totally agree with you, because you know what? Most of the time when you have VMS, those kind of mine are almost all the time related, like with the gold or silver, precious metal. Sometimes it's just external. So for sure, there was already a big upside for precious. But even the VMS we have, you know that Brunswick 12 and Brunswick Swiss 6, I think they produce about 700 million ounces of silver. For sure, that was a lead zinc mine, but at the end of the day, you know, the silver credit was almost what they did the big cash on it. So it was renewed for having like precious metal in it. So yes, the only thing sad,
I'm going off the top of my head, but I think the grade at Brunswick 12 was close to 300 grams of silver. I live in Mexico, and that's what makes silver mines down here that grade.
Exactly. I think that's a little bit, you're a good promoter. I don't think they are so high, but I think, yes, they are very high grade silver content, and the recovery was good. But the thing is, you know, as we've been the first mover in the area, we have staked most of everything that we thought was the most exciting and most important. But we need more players. You know, if you look like the Abitibi Belt, name it, you know, BC Triangle, there's many junior company in the area. So we are missing a bit of visibility. Let's say that we had maybe 4 or 5 different junior company working in the area. So any company getting news out, that attract other investor and other people and make a mass. Now, you know, the other around, they mentioned Puma in their news release to show and tell what we're doing. But if, you know, it's not like in the far west anymore, like in the 80s, you know, the claim or stake are secure with all online staking. So in the past, I tell you, 80% of the new discovery had like a lawsuit because it was just made on the post. Stake depends how you do your stake on the post. But now, you know, it's all online. So you have your own claim, it's secure. So even if somebody else working around, you know, it's just good for everybody. That's what is missing a little bit in New Brunswick so far.
And you mean to change it. And as I was doing my homework on Puma, something stood out to me, which was the Lynx deposit.
Yes.
And I wrote when I invited you to be a sponsor that you graciously accepted, thank you. Yeah. I wrote a report on what I saw as important. And what really stood out to me was that it looks like you've got a stacked lenses of or zones and with very good grades, but most of your work has been confined to very close to surface, and yet it looks like it is wide open at depth.
Exactly. You know, we have done following the discovery hole, who was like 5 grams over 50 meters right from surface, 0 to 50 meters, 5 ton gold. So we did that in 2021. So we've been able to raise good money, and we did about a $6 million project last year on exploration. So most part was a 10,000 drilling program, 10,000 meters drilling program in 100 hole. So we just scratched the surface because as I said earlier, everything is new. So there's no reason to go deeper, and miss the target. So what we do is starting from surface, and then we're just going deeper. So we're gonna launch like I think within 2 weeks now. About the drilling will be on site. So we're going to start the first 3,000 meters just to confirm and intersect those high grade. 2020 was systematic drilling to define what we see as the higher grade zone. Now we're not doing systematic. We want to drill those high grades. So really to confirm if there's any high grade shoot. And now that interpretation, as you mentioned, like gently stepping, because those high grade zone is about only 30 degrees pending. It's really low, not steep, really shallow. So what this mean? You don't need to go drilling 800 meters, because you can drill further, and maybe having a hole of only 200 meters will be kind of the same, zone than if you were drilling 800, almost vertical zone. So we're pretty lucky. And if we're talking about open pit, there's no better morphology than what we got, because we don't have so much waste. That the way that the lens is just great for open pit. So finger crossed, everything so far is so great. Open at depth, open along strike, and within the money that we have just did, I mean, we just closed a private placement for up to $3 million. So that budget will be to drill underneath, but also extend the zone over 3.1 kilometers, because we have some gold showing an indication that length zone is extending. But as we use like a very low cost exploration method, before to drill, we want to trench, strip, and then drill, because the drilling cost is what is the most expensive. So we know that if we want to see the 3D of a discovery, we need to drill. But before to know the 3D, we need to make sure there's something at surface. So instead of try to drill blind everywhere, so we just drill where we know that at surface we already have some gold mineralization. So we just don't know the extent of it. But we won't go to 500 meters this year. It's not the goal. We want to add resources, but we just need to continue gently dipping. So we need less drilling.
So one of the things that I think is always important is the jurisdiction.
Yes.
And the reason that you've been able to do it the way that you've done it is that New Brunswick is a very mining friendly jurisdiction. You can quickly get permits to do the stripping and the trenching. You can quickly get drilling permits. And so by doing that, you're lucky that you only have a couple meters of cover, and you can expose that bedrock, sample that bedrock, see that bedrock. You have some great pictures on your website that helped me do my homework. And it enables you to do the things the way that you're doing in a sensible fashion.
Exactly. But you have to take care, Allan, because also the experience of be there for 20 years, because we've selected the ground where we know that is easy to do exploration. Because, now the new way of thinking is everybody wants a mobile phone, electrical car, like big screen, TV screen, but they don't want any mine in their backyard, which I totally understand. So where we select the ground, for sure, we do not select the mine. The mine, it's there. But if we have a choice, this is a part of my job to evaluate the risk. I always try to get location close to a paved road in crown land. So this way, crown land, I don't really have to deal with the private landowner. It's not like having like a big claim in, south along the Bid-Fundy. There's a lot of cottage. You know that you won't do anything. So in that northern part of New Brunswick is crown land. I have a MOU with First Nation. Everybody, the stakeholders are happy. They know mining. So that's helped a lot where you select your ground. But then you're totally right. I mean, we know each other for a long time. They know Puma. They know as well the government that we're not like a fly by night. We're not there for 2-3 months looking for lithium and move away, get everything dirty. We're there since the last 15 years, 20 years. We want to open them up, a mine there. So we have building trust and confidence since, let's say, beginning of the year 2000.
And Mother Nature has cooperated in your filtering methods, Marcel, in that you've drilled some pretty nice holes and some. I had a great mentor.
Yeah.
And in geology, and he always told me, watch for the gold distribution in the drill hole, and where those holes are in relation to each other. And what you've established so far at that Lynx zone is quite an impressive series of zones that are all dipping in the same direction, and high grade mineralization. And the quartz looks like it's something that does come from an orogenic gold system.
Yes, exactly. And the way we did it is because that was the first drilling. It's not like a whole deposit, rename, rebrand, and then you continue. So we had to start from scratch. So following, an advice from Mr. Dr. Quinton Inning, probably him with Crescat Capital, we've been talking. They are a big investor in Puma, so we're chatting once and there. And he suggests do systematic drilling, because if you try to be more, let's say, intelligent than Mother Earth, you're going to miss. So just do systematic drilling. Then you're going to confirm those high grade. And if they come in pods, like many, many good high grades there, and there, then follow up those. If you just fall in love with your project and you just try, doesn't make sense. So now we've done the systematic. At the beginning, we didn't know where was those high grade. Now we know. We're going to try and tested those high grade only this time. So that's helped. And you're totally right. Those quartz veins are stacked quartz vein, and this seems to come into not a systematic, but really nice pattern. And as we're not neither expert in everything, we're good having two boots on ground, but we're not shy to ask better people, more intelligent on structural geologists, geochem, recovery. We need to add to our team expert that they know what they do. And then at the end of the day, Allan, it's us. We put the holes there. That's me and my VP exploration. We don't have to follow every people's mind or ideas, but at least getting some ideas everywhere, getting smarter people than we are. Then we put all that together and then drilling. That's, at the end of the day is the drilling operation. And we're just about to start it in 2 weeks from now.
Well, Mother Nature and the Truth Machine have been treating you pretty well. And getting back to that systematic exploration.
Yes.
So you will systematically start stepping down from what you already know. Yeah. But then you've also been expanding along strike and doing the same method that helped you find the Lynx to show other areas of potential that this corridor is extending along strike.
Yes, and not just extending along strike, because with the work last year, we know that there's a potential for 10 kilometers long strike. But what we see now is parallel zone. So we could have a multiple of lengths 10 kilometers long. And to help us, we have 60,000 hectares. So that's a huge, huge playground. So at the beginning, we did all the aerial survey, VTEM survey, radiometric, and then we sent that to a company named Windfall Geotech. So what they do is to do artificial intelligence, AI, to really identify the area where you should have the same signature. It's a probability to hit something similar. So to do that, you need really nice survey, which we do have, because it's not whole survey from the 50s that you don't know exactly where they are. And secondly is what they call the training point. So training point, you need some zone with gold in it. So we knew Lynx at the beginning because we had some sample. So we had the signature of Lynx. We put all the survey together, geochem, geophysical survey, topography, everything we have. And then they put that in their black box and they tell us where you should have the same similarities than the Lynx zone. So we use that not to really focus where to go, but mainly where not to go. Because, we don't want to spend money and time because in energy, in area there where we don't think we should have more gold. So we use all the two available. Intelligence artificial, boots on ground. First is prospecting, and as you said earlier, there's really little of overburden, few feet. So in that part, if you have some boulders, block, or float at surface, you bring the backhoe, and most of the time it's just underneath. So that's the best way to exploration. So get boots on ground, grab sample, bring the backhoe, do trenching, and within 30 days we have the permit. So it doesn't make sense to do too much ahead of time. You do the first trenches, not trenches, but prospecting. You have some gold in hand, then you apply for trenching, then you trench. And if in that trench, it's only one trench is about, let's say, 4 feet wide, and sometimes it can be long. And in that trench, if you find something significant, a contact zone like us, like the volcanic and sediment, or 1 or 2 good grab sample, then you extend the trenching, and we call it stripping. Stripping, it's a little bit more big size, so it can be 10 meters by 10 meters. And if at that case we hit again great stuff, then we apply for a bigger permit. And once we control, we bring the drill. And it's really hard to miss when you see the vein at surface. There's gold in it. Now it's a part of luck to have a nugget effect, pinch and swell, but at least it's not because you just missed the vein by 4 feet. If you don't see it, you don't know. So that's the way we save costs.
That's very impressive work because, like you said, you can see the veins. And by the way, on the company's website, they have pictures of the outcropping quartz veins. And it's quite impressive from an exploration perspective. And now you have a picture of what that should be doing underground, so you can more predictably choose your targets.
Exactly. And the other good thing as well is because they are all outcropping at surface, we can measure them. Sometimes, if you don't have anything and you just drill a quartz vein, you don't really know in which direction it goes. So this way you have the vein, you can make some with your compass, where it goes, the dip of it. And then, as we've been able to do, we did a met test, recovery test with 7,000 pounds of rock. So you cannot do that by drilling because you're going to get like 200,000 meters of drilling to get only that 7,000 pounds. We've been able to collect 12 drums. Each drum was characterizing one vein. So this is the met we're going to get probably within the next few weeks. The result back on the gravity, on leaching, and what will be the gravity. So far was so great. I mean, we got up to 92% recovery only by gravity. So that's helped as well.
No optimization.
It's help also the social acceptability. It's help on the environment. We know we won't use chemical. We won't have cyanide. Nothing. So that's also something that's helped on not fast tracking, because when you say fast tracking, it seems that you skip some step, but it's no, because you just do it earlier in the process because you have access to that. That kind of bulk sample like we're doing, or the big met test, most of the time is at the pre-feasibility study, because you have, to strip, you have to get a lot of rock. Us, it's at the beginning, because if we come up with no recovery, we won't spend, let's say, $45 million in drilling if we know we cannot recover the gold. We're going to move somewhere else where we could recover gold.
I spent a good portion of my career in diamond exploration, and with diamonds, even in a high grade, a carat is only 0.2 of a gram. So think about trying to find, that's a high grade. You find 1 carat in a ton of rock. So what's really important is to do representative samples, big samples, so that you get a realistic picture of what you're doing. And what you just described there it's also important in gold, and you're able to do that representative sampling very early in the exploration.
Exactly, because we went from, first thing is the grab sample, then, we drill it, then we do a drum, and then now we're going to do a 4,000 ton bulk. So the bigger the sample is, closer to the truth it will be. But it's still exploration, and we know those kind of deposits can have some kind of variation within the vein. So I cannot say that that recovery will be the same recovery at 500 meters. It is not the case. But we know that if we have an open pit, the first rock to be sent to the mill will be the rock that we have done the test on it. So that's helped to get the recipe as well, get
And
what will be the grind
because you've
size.
got that data, when you do want to do some on drilling deeper, you have something to compare it to.
Exactly, because at surface, we will have some grab sample, we'll have few drill holes, and then we're going to have a barrel, and then the bulk. So, you know, if we see that is consistent from all those grade, then once we're going to drill deeper, if it's 5 grams, we're going to say, oh, it might be 5 grams. It's not like, you know, we drill 25 grams, and then at the end, it's just only 5. So it's going to help us to see, you know, a little bit more and interpret a little bit more the assays back from the next program.
Well, you're definitely doing that intelligent, systematic work. And speaking of that, you recently raised some money, as you mentioned, around $3 million.
Yes.
And your goal is to do kind of 2 things in this, well, 3 things actually. One is to keep following that that mineralization somewhat deeper.
Yeah.
Secondly is to follow it along strike, and third is to do regional exploration.
Exactly. So basically, we plan to do about 70% on Lynx zone, but Lynx is not only the deposit, it's the Lynx zone itself. So there's 70% of the budget will be direct, exactly as you said, go deeper, go along strike, characterize the ore, and have a first idea of the economic of it. So that's what we call it the Lynx. But the 30% more, 30% of the budget will be directed to discover any new lands around the 60,000 hectare. And there's 2 projects just up north, which is come within the same, you know, what we call the William Brook. There's the Portage and John Paul. So we need to do a little bit of work, nothing almost like $50,000, but that will be done, $50,000 exploration on each to keep the claim in good standing. So there's a part of strategic, as you know, Allan, when you drill 5 grams over 50 meters, there's no way you move somewhere else. Now we know that, we keep it, and we're going to find working somewhere else, and we want to keep, you know, the ownership and get the claim in good standing for at least like a few years more.
Perfect. Well, I'm really looking forward to that, following those zones deeper. I really like what I see there, and it's coming around the corner.
Exactly. So don't drink too much at the Canada's holiday, because the drill is coming, you know, if you want to be there at the time. That's it.
Sounds good, Marcel. Well, I want to thank you very much for joining us, and I'm going to wrap it up and we can have a chat at the other end.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So there you go, folks. Puma Exploration has a very exciting project in New Brunswick. They've already found some excellent stuff with their drilling, and now they're getting ready to crank that up again and get following that down deeper and also along strike. And they've got the other targets that puts them into the position of what they put in their headline, is that they're trying to find a camp, not just one deposit, but maybe many more. And so, as always, my shows are for information purposes only. I'm not trying to make buying and selling recommendations. It's important for you to speak with your financial advisor and do your homework. Go to their website, check out their news releases, check out their corporate presentations to learn more about the exciting project that they have at Williamsbrook. On that note, have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.